Hello everybody, welcome. I'm no O2 and thank you for watching this video. You're here with Warhammer 40k DarkTide. We're going to be going over all of the classes one by one, each different videos. Please be sure to check out the timestamps here. We're going to be talking about their sort of base kit here, their abilities, iconic, aura, blah blah blah. Talking about their skills that can be unlocked over time by leveling up. And then sort of talking about what this character's sort of in my perception of this character's role in a team composition, how they're sort of shaping up to be, and like what their kit is sort of allowing them to do. Sort of the general concept here. Keep in mind that this is the closed beta, so numbers, abilities, stats, skills are all subject to change and things like that. And also, too, I'm sure we haven't seen a large chunk of like the weapon content and potentially other abilities like brain burst can be replaced by other stuff and what have you. So, the Psyker, as you might imagine, has like psychic abilities. It does brain stuff. Blitz. Blitz is the grenade slot, essentially. Everyone's Blitz is a grenade except for the Psyker. Now, it has a grenade symbol on it, but this is an ability that you can use over and over and over again. The Psyker, all of their abilities are on a heat meter bar that it calls Peril, or a warped bar. And as you activate your special abilities like Brain Burst here, you build Peril in your warped bar. And it's like a heat bar, essentially. If you get too much Peril or too much heat, you overheat. And you can no longer use your abilities, I believe. Or you can still use them, but you take damage once you're at the very top. Tippity top, you start taking damage. And when you have your special abilities equipped, you can hold down your reload key and sort of drain that heat bar down. Essentially like you're reloading. Then we have our Aura, passive ability. Coherence is about being in proximity to your teammates. Everyone's got one. Ours is allies within our range. Our coherency gain 10% damage. Versus elite enemies, I believe, here, specifically. This is our primary ability here. Resets the perils of the warp meter to 0 and staggers enemy in front of you. For you Skyrim gamers, this game is also like Skyrim. This is like a foom, right? One of those word thingies that you do. It's a foom. It's just like a little cone-shaped wave that knocks enemies down. And the little heat bar that I was talking about, no matter what number it's at, no matter how close it is to 100% heat, it brings it all the way back down to 0, allowing you to continue to cast your spells safely. Iconic are like other passive abilities, but specific to us, right? Not an aura. Killing an enemy with Brain Burst earns a warp charge. Each charge grants plus 3% damage. Warp charges are retained for 20 seconds. You can store up to 4. Be a total of 12% bonus damage. And then in Inner Tranquility, reduce peril generated by 10%. Now, the abilities that you can unlock, I don't know exactly what the rank is on these. You're just sort of going over the concept here, right? So this is rank 5. I'm rank 5 with most of the characters just to try them all out, get a feel for it. But for every single class, it seems like their very first set of skills here are all toughness related, which is like your shields, like sort of regenerate naturally. Damage that you take before your health is into your toughness. We have replenish 50% of your toughness over 5 seconds on a brain burst kill. Replenish 15% toughness when you kill an enemy with a warped based attack. There seems to be like weapons seem to be doing this warp stuff. They're like a warp sword and like a warped staff thingy, and you can do special abilities with them that also look like Psyker stuff, right? And sort of blow them up, and you get toughness when you do that. Replenish 10% toughness for each 10% of peril quelled, and quelled is you replace quelled with reloaded. Reloaded. When you got all that scary heat buildup, you hold down your reload button. And every 10% that you reduce your heat bar down, you get toughness in return. Next is gain between 5 and 15% damage with force weapon attacks based on your current peril. Minus 10% peril, but minus 10% quell speed per warp charge. So remember, when you get a kill with your brain burst, you gain a warp charge. And when you do that, all of a sudden the peril that you generated gets reduced by 10. But if you were to manually reload, that rate is 10% slower. Killing an elite or specialist with the brain burst applies 1 stack of agony to all enemies within 3 meters of the target. I have no idea what agony does. It's closed beta. There's literally no... Oh, no! Oh, no! We weren't moving. Is that why we got disconnected? It's going to make it hard for me, isn't it? But you're going to start sort of seeing a theme here. A theme here, a damage theme as we go down the list for the Psyker. Very specifically. Because I think the Psyker is unique in what its role is specifically in the team, I think, because its tools, the Psyker's tools feel so unbelievably specific in what they do, and there's very little versatility as far as like your starting kit is concerned and things like that. The revolver and the brain burst being your primary sources of damage. Notably too, the Psyker doesn't have any sort of abilities that like really boost their melee, their crowd control abilities. Really feels like they have just a lot of single target damage stuff here. Onto the next row. Whenever you or an ally coherent with incoherency kills an enemy, 5% chance to gain a warp charge. This looks like a setup ability for other things down the line. 15% combat ability cooldown on elite kills. You're going to be seeing the word elite a lot as well. Damaging an enemy with your brain burst ability causes them to take 15% damage from all non-warp sources. So it's about boosting your team's damage, essentially, right? While below critical peril, blocking an attack causes you to gain peril instead of losing stamina. Another potential sort of like setup-y card thing here. But when you block something, it drains stamina. And if you're trying to block without any stamina, your block is obviously not as good. Take between 10 to 33% reduced toughness damage based on your current peril. Your movement speed is not reduced while quelling peril. When you try to reload your warped energy, you move to a walking pace. Can store up to 6 charges, an extra 6% damage overall. When it comes to our warp siphon, while your maximum warp charges, gaining a warp charge instead applies a stack of agony to an nearby enemy, prioritizing elite enemies, or elite again, right? All attacks have 10% chance on hit to brain burst the target. This cannot occur while at critical peril and has a 15-second cooldown. I'm assuming that because you can't do it at critical peril, which is when your heat bar is really high to the top, like top last 20% or something like that. Maybe it's 15. That when this triggers, it costs peril when it happens, possibly. And the last line here is your Psykinetic Wrath, which is this ability here, the Cone Knockdown Dagger, and also drains our energy. Reduces the cooldown. Oh, it removes all warp charges, reducing the cooldown by 12% for each warp charge removed. That's sort of why I talked about. Never mind. Never mind. Forget what I was saying. Psykinetic's Wrath expends all warp charges and applies 1 stack of agony to enemies hit. Enemies killed by agony have a 10% chance to grant you a warp charge. So, again, I don't know what agony does, but apparently it does some amount of damage, possibly. Then we have, for 10 seconds after using Psykinetic Wrath, your brain burst charges 25% faster and consume 50% less peril. You sort of see a theme though in this build here. We got a lot of like prioritizing elites, right? Bonus percentage damage, things that happen when you kill elites, right? When you kill an elite or specialist with brain burst, apply a blah blah blah. The Psyker is unique, I believe, comparatively to all the classes, and how they fit into the team composition is that they are the only character that sort of comes right out the gate, level 1, with the ability to one-shot mutations and elites and specials. I don't really know what the difference is between the elites and the specials at the moment. There's no glossary. I don't know what's going on here with that, right? But the Hound, the toxic flamethrower guy, the net thrower guy, the mutant that like runs up and picks you up and then like beats you up. All of those enemies, you just brain burst them one shot, they're dead. Dead. In fact, brain burst does so much damage, is so slow to charge, and you can only do it like 4 times before you actually need to reload, that the brain burst is clearly designed not to fight the horde, the trash mobs. It's so much damage that if you just use it on a common enemy, a little trash mob guy, it's just a waste of time. Like quite literally a waste of time because you're blowing up a guy who can swing that you can swing a sword at once or twice and eliminate. The Psyker's role is like special target elimination, like high health elimination targets. So the second you hear the cry, the audio cue that a mutant is spawned into the map, and you hear their pitter patter of their feet as they're charging at somebody, you can be charging brain burst, get it ready. The second you see them, you just sort of blow up their brain. Essentially, you burst it. I think that's pretty unique to the Psyker, especially since too when it comes to like their starting kit with the revolver and even some future weapons like the staff. Though the staff does have some crowd control effects on it, you notice here that for the most part, other than like agonizing wave, there's really no other way that the Psyker there's really no other tools the Psyker to comfortably deal with a horde of enemies for the mob, essentially. Other than just pulling out their trusty sword, which is what everyone uses for the most part for the mob. But we got no movement abilities, we got no extra special bonusy stuff that happens when we swing our sword or bonus damage on the sword. It's all built around just doing big burst damage. Notice too that all of the damage for the Psyker is percentage based, making it also really good against bosses in general. Right, got the big red health bar on top. Psyker chunks that bar really well, and you can build into just doing more damage in general, from the bonus 15% damage on herself for like force weapon attacks to using your brain burst on a target increases the damage that they suffer from other sources by 15%. And things like that. You can get extra warp charges, etc., etc., etc. So the Psyker's role, as far as I can tell, in a team composition is to sort of literally let other people deal with the Horde. But that's their job. Your job is to be ready to go the second you hear a hound spawn, or you see the net guy running around, or the chem thrower on our way. You can just blow them up from really far away. That'll save your team ammo, save your team health, save your team from having to worry about it, because those enemies that typically absorb a lot more damage than the common mob, you can just literally blow up in a second, essentially, right? You know, the Blitz is a little slow to charge, but if you're smart about it, the smart Psykers will know when to start charging preemptively, find their target, and then be able to brain burst their target without too much excess peril suffered and things like that. And that really feels like this character's job is just to sort of hang out, be on alert for the dangerous targets. Your job is the special and elite elimination. The only like comparable damage really in that regard is like the Ogarian. They have the ability with good hits, melee hits, to stagger some of these elites and specials, as well as like with their big bad shotgun, do a big huge chunk of burst damage. But nothing. The Psyker can do that at any range, though preferably at medium to long and things like that. That's sort of the Psyker's role in general. I feel like that like their job is just single target damage, and you leave the crowd control and the other nuances of the match to your teammates. Kind of cool, kind of fun. So I literally found myself in some of the higher level matches just not doing a lot during team fights. Of course, you can pull out your sword and get involved, but I was really just always listening, trying to stay on alert for any sort of extra mutation or special that might show up. And as soon as they do, I was charging, getting ready to go. And the second they round that corner, you're blowing them up, and they're just a non-factor. Just a non-factor. And if it's getting super sketchy and hairy, you can help with some crowd control, but it doesn't kill anything. So again, it's just like our crowd control abilities are supportive, but not destructive for the most part, right? But I had a lot of fun playing this character, very specifically, just filling that role of like single target special elimination. When it comes to the potential of solo clutching with this character, I'm not sure. I think this is gonna be like a potentially a higher skill level class. It feels like, because you can't just run and gun with this class. We got no extra mobility. We need to be sure of like keeping some of our teammates alive and being involved in the fight as much as possible, but still doing our job specifically. We're not letting our teammates die to whatever, because we need them alive to deal with other problems for us, because we are very specific in what we deal with here. And I thought it was really cool. Really cool to see that. So if you see like a Psyker like charging up and like blowing up one common enemy at a time, that's a mistake, right? They go 1, 2, 3, and then start reloading. Huge mistake. It's like it wasted their time. It's a huge waste of their time. Even when it comes to their Magnum, right, you got 37 bullets total. Picking up ammo is based off of your maximum ammo count potential, so like trying to restore your ammo slow. Using that pistol on a mob, you'll be out of ammo on the first mob. So it's like, again, like the Psyker's kit in a lot of instances feels like it's just built around not dealing with the mob, but dealing with all of the big health enemies. It's been a lot of fun. Uh, you know, brain bursting people. And of course, we got the aura for bonus damage versus elites. They're kind of cool. I'm very excited to see what they got in the future for this character, what future weapons and abilities, and if he can swap out brain burst or what else they got going on here. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the future.